Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're diving into something today that you might think you've got all figured out: professionalism.
Yeah.
But the source we're looking at today, this excerpt on professionalism, it suggests it's not just about firm handshakes and wearing the right shoes anymore.
Right.
It turns out professional has gotten a serious upgrade, especially in today's diverse and digital world.
You're absolutely right. I
Yeah.
mean, that old school image of professionalism, being limited to specific fields
Yeah.
like law or medicine, that's fading.
Okay.
Today, it's a must-have regardless of your industry
So
or
it's
job title.
that classic image of a doctor in a white coat, that's not the whole story anymore.
Exactly. It's less about the uniform and more about navigating a work world
Mm.
where global teams, cross-cultural communication, and constant tech advancements are the norm.
So what does it mean to be professional in this new landscape?
Well,
What are the key attributes?
Source breaks it down into three main areas:
Yeah.
reliability, respect, and competence.
Okay.
Each one has evolved to fit the modern workplace.
All right, let's break those down. First up, reliability. I feel like most people think that just means showing up on time, but I have a feeling there's more to it.
Oh, you're absolutely right. It's so much more than just punctuality.
Okay.
Think of it as the bedrock of trust in any team.
Okay.
So, being reliable now includes things like meeting deadlines consistently,
Right.
following through on commitments, and keeping your word.
Mm-hmm.
These all have a ripple effect on everyone you work with.
I can definitely see that. Like
Yeah.
missing a deadline doesn't just impact you, it can throw a wrench in everyone else's plans, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it can totally derail a project.
And what about accountability?
Oh, that's a big one.
Where does that fit into the modern definition of reliable?
Accountability is huge. It's
Yeah.
not just admitting you messed up.
Right.
It's about taking ownership and actively fixing the situation.
Hmm.
It shows people you're not just clocking in and out.
Yeah.
You're invested in the outcome.
I used to think accountability was all about admitting fault, but now I realize it's about being proactive and solution-oriented.
Hmm.
Like, if you make a mistake on a project, don't just apologize. Come up with a plan to correct it.
Exactly. It demonstrates a deeper level of responsibility
Yeah.
and commitment.
All right, so we've got reliability covered. Next up, respect. Now, this one feels like it's taken on a whole new meaning in today's world, especially with the emphasis on diversity and inclusion.
Yeah, you're spot on.
Yeah.
It's no longer just about being polite. Today, respect means being culturally sensitive,
Right.
understanding different perspectives,
Yeah.
and truly valuing the people you work with,
Yeah.
regardless of their background.
So knowing how to address your boss or shake someone's hand, that's just the bare minimum.
Think of it this way. Imagine you're on a video call with colleagues
Okay.
from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Something as simple as scheduling a meeting
Yeah.
could become an issue if you're not mindful of time zones or cultural holidays.
And I bet communication styles play a huge role, too.
Oh, absolutely.
What might seem like a direct and honest approach in one culture
Yeah.
could be perceived as aggressive or disrespectful in another.
Absolutely. Being aware of those nuances can make or break
Right.
successful collaboration.
Yeah.
A good example from the source mentions how direct eye contact
Okay.
is a sign of respect in some cultures,
Mm-hmm.
but in others, it can be seen as confrontational.
That's a great point. It reminds me of a time when I was working with a team from another country. I thought I was being clear and concise in my emails,
Yeah.
but they perceived me as rude and demanding. It took some time to adjust my communication style
Right.
and build trust.
And that's where active listening comes in, which the source also highlights.
Yeah.
It's more than just hearing what someone is saying. It's about engaging, asking clarifying questions,
Right.
and making sure you truly understand their perspective
I'll admit, I've been guilty of just waiting for my turn to speak. Yeah,
instead of truly listening,
I think we all have.
But I've started to realize that active listening is a skill that can prevent misunderstandings and build stronger relationships.
It's a key ingredient in showing respect and creating a more collaborative and inclusive work environment.
Okay, so we've covered reliability and respect. Last but not least, competence. Is this where all those hard skills come in? The degrees, certifications, and technical know-how?
It's part of it, for sure.
Okay.
But competence in the modern workplace is more than just a checklist of skills you've acquired.
Okay.
It's about your commitment to continuously learning and adapting.
So it's not enough to just be good at what you do now. You need to be actively learning and evolving as technology changes
Right.
and new skills become necessary.
Precisely. The source really emphasizes that.
Yeah.
For example, think about how quickly digital marketing has changed over the last few years.
Right.
If you were an expert 5 years ago but haven't kept up with the latest tools and trends,
Your competence might be questioned.
it's almost like competence has a shelf life these days.
Yeah.
You have to constantly be updating your skills and knowledge to stay relevant.
And that's where things like taking on long courses,
Right.
attending industry conferences,
Yeah.
or even just reading industry blogs can become essential.
It sounds like in today's world, a competent professional isn't someone who knows everything, but someone who's committed to lifelong learning.
I think that's a great way to put it.
So we've unpacked the big three: reliability, respect, and competence. But here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
Our source points out that diversity adds another layer of complexity to these attributes.
You're right. When you bring people from different backgrounds, generations, and cultures together, those core attributes of professionalism take on new dimensions.
So how does working in a diverse environment actually affect those core attributes?
Well-
Let's start with respect. We talked about how it's evolved beyond basic politeness, but I imagine it gets even more nuanced when you factor in different cultures and backgrounds.
Absolutely. In a diverse setting, demonstrating respect requires a deep understanding of cultural differences.
Right.
For example, the source mentions how in some cultures, interrupting someone is seen as a sign of engagement and enthusiasm,
Okay.
while in others it's considered incredibly rude.
That's fascinating. It's a reminder that what we consider common sense or good manners might not translate across cultures.
Right.
I remember once making a joke
Yeah.
during a meeting with a colleague from a different background, and it totally fell flat. It turns out humor can be very culturally specific.
It definitely can.
Yeah.
And misunderstandings like that, even if unintentional, can damage relationships and hinder collaboration.
Right.
That's why cultural sensitivity is so important.
The source also mentions generational diversity. I'm curious how that plays into the mix. We've all heard stories about clashes between baby boomers, millennials, and Gen Z in the workplace.
It's a real phenomenon.
Yeah.
Different generations often have different expectations
Yeah.
around communication styles,
Right.
workplace norms, and even what it means to be professional. For example, younger generations might be more accustomed to using instant messaging or emojis
Right.
for work-related communication,
Yeah.
while older generations might prefer more formal methods like email or phone calls.
Oh, the emoji debate. That's definitely one I've seen play out in real life. Some people love them, others think they're completely unprofessional.
Yeah,
It's like navigating a minefield sometimes.
and it's not just about communication styles.
Right.
There can also be differing expectations around things like work-life balance or the use of technology.
Yeah.
Navigating those differences respectfully is crucial.
So how do we bridge those generational gaps while still maintaining a professional environment? It seems like a delicate balancing act.
Well, I think open communication is key.
No.
Creating a space where people feel comfortable
Yeah.
discussing their preferences and expectations
Right.
can go a long way.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that everyone,
Yeah.
regardless of their generation, brings valuable perspectives and experiences to the table.
I think mentorship can play a huge role too. Having someone from a different generation to learn from and share insights with can help bridge those gaps.
I completely agree. Mentorship can be a powerful tool
Yeah.
for fostering understanding and respect across generations.
Okay, we've covered cultural diversity and generational diversity. Now let's move on to something that impacts pretty much everyone in today's workplace. Technology. The source mentions technological proficiency as a key element of modern professionalism. It seems obvious, but I'm guessing there's more to it than just knowing how to use a computer.
You're right. In today's world, technological proficiency goes far beyond basic computer skills.
Right.
It's about being comfortable using a wide range of digital tools and platforms. Things like project management software, cloud storage, video conferencing, and data analysis tools.
So it's not just about being able to send an email or create a PowerPoint presentation. It's about leveraging technology to collaborate effectively, communicate efficiently, and solve problems.
Exactly. And it also involves being mindful of digital etiquette, knowing how to communicate professionally online, protecting sensitive information, and using technology ethically are all part of being technologically proficient.
It's like having good manners, but in the digital world.
That's a great analogy.
Okay, so we've talked about all these different elements of professionalism, reliability, respect, competence,
Right.
and then the added layers of diversity and technology.
hmm
It's a lot to take in, but how do we actually develop these skills? How do we go from understanding the concepts to putting them into practice?
Well, the source offers some great practical advice on that.
Oh,
It highlights the importance of training programs,
okay.
mentorship,
Yeah.
and seeking feedback.
Those all sound like solid strategies. Let's unpack them one by one. First up, training programs.
Okay.
I know a lot of companies offer professional development opportunities,
Right.
but I think a lot of people see them as optional
Yeah.
or just something to do if they have extra time.
That's a missed opportunity.
Oh.
Training programs, whether they're in-person workshops,
Right.
online courses, or even industry conferences,
Yeah.
can be incredibly valuable
Yeah.
for developing specific skills and broadening your knowledge base.
Mm-hmm.
And taking the initiative to participate in these programs
Right.
shows your commitment to growth and development.
I've definitely found that attending conferences and workshops has helped me stay up to date on industry trends and learn new skills. It's
Yeah.
also a great way to network and connect with other professionals.
Absolutely. And it's not just about formal training programs.
Okay.
Seeking out mentorship is another powerful way to develop professional skills. Having a more experienced professional to guide you, offer advice, and share their insights
Yeah,
can be invaluable.
I couldn't agree more. I've had some amazing mentors throughout my career, and their guidance has been instrumental in my development. But I think finding a good mentor can be a challenge for some people.
Yeah.
Any tips on how to approach someone about mentorship?
It's all about building genuine relationships. Start by identifying someone you admire and whose career path you find inspiring.
Okay.
Reach out to them, express your interest in learning from their experience, and be clear about what you're hoping to gain from a mentorship relationship. Most people are happy to share their knowledge and expertise with others.
And I think it's important to remember that mentorship is a two-way street. Both the mentor and the mentee can benefit from the relationship.
Precisely. It's a collaborative process
Yeah.
of learning and growth.
Okay. Training programs and mentorship, check and check. The source also mentions seeking feedback as a key strategy for professional development. This one can be a bit tougher to swallow, right? Not everyone loves hearing criticism, even if it's constructive.
It's true that feedback can be challenging to receive,
Right.
but it's absolutely essential for growth.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's asking a colleague for their honest opinion on a presentation,
Yeah.
requesting feedback from your manager on your performance,
Yeah.
or even seeking out constructive criticism from a mentor.
Yeah.
Being open to feedback is a sign of maturity and professionalism.
I used to dread performance reviews, but I've started to see them as opportunities to learn and grow. It's a chance to get an outside perspective on your work
Right.
and identify areas where you can improve.
And remember, feedback isn't about being attacked or put down. It's about identifying areas where you can excel even further. A true professional sees feedback as a gift,
Yeah.
even if it's not always wrapped in the prettiest package.
That's a great way to look at it.
Now, there's one final point from the source that I think is worth discussing before we wrap up.
Okay.
It mentions measuring professionalism. The idea of quantifying
Right.
something that seems so subjective.
Mm-hmm.
Is that even possible?
Yeah.
Can you really put a number on things like respect or competence?
It does seem tricky, right? Like, how do you measure having a good attitude or being a good communicator? Those things feel kind of intangible.
Yeah, you've hit on a key point. Measuring professionalism isn't as straightforward as, say, measuring sales figures or website traffic.
Right.
But the source does point out that there are ways to assess
Okay.
certain behaviors and attributes that are generally associated with professionalism.
So even if we can't put a precise number on it, we can look for signs that someone is embodying those core professional values.
Exactly. For example, reliability might be measured through things like punctuality records or project completion rates. Respect might be assessed through peer reviews.
Right.
Or by tracking how often someone is involved in conflict resolution. And competence is often measured through performance evaluations or skill assessments.
So while it might not be a perfect science, there are ways to gauge someone's level of professionalism based on their actions and behaviors.
Right. But I think the most important takeaway here is that while measurement can be helpful for identifying areas for improvement, It's crucial to remember that professionalism is a multifaceted concept
Right.
that goes beyond simple metrics. It's about striving to be the best version of yourself in the workplace and always being open to learning and growth.
It's like professionalism is a journey, not a destination. There's always room for improvement.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And it leads me to a question for everyone listening. What does professionalism mean to you? How would you define it? And how do you try to embody those qualities in your own work life?
That's a great question to reflect on. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day tasks and lose sight of the bigger picture. Taking a moment to think about what professionalism means to us personally can help us stay focused on those core values.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to discuss it with your colleagues or mentors.
Yeah.
Viewing different perspectives can help you refine your own definition of professionalism and discover new ways to express it in your work.
I think that's such valuable advice. The more we talk about these things, the more we can learn from each other and create a more positive and professional work environment for everyone.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the evolving definition of professionalism to the impact of diversity and technology. We even tackled the tricky question of measuring something as subjective as professionalism. It's been a fascinating deep dive.
It has been. And I hope our listeners feel better equipped to navigate the complexities of professionalism in today's world.
As always, we encourage you to continue exploring this topic. There are tons of resources out there, books, articles, podcasts that can provide even more insights. And don't underestimate the value of having conversations with your colleagues and mentors about their perspectives on professionalism.
Those conversations can be incredibly enriching. Remember, lifelong learning is a key ingredient in professional growth.
Well said. That wraps up our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to be the best professional you can be.
You've been listening to the Learning Podcast, a production of metaNESTA. Remember, learning is a journey, one step, one insight, one skill at a time. We'll see you next time. Keep learning, stay curious, and as always, be awesome.